Okay, today we're going to be talking about Sszorak. This is the 5th boss in the Venomous Abyss raid. It is a single target fight with a very quick sequence of mechanics that comes out, and that ends with a burn and then repeats. It is very cyclical, and we'll talk through the mechanics as they come up in the VOD. So the very first mechanic that comes out is called Apex Predator. This is a tank mechanic. It is a sequence of cleaves and another mechanic that can happen in any order. It is very similar to Nexus King P1. The random mechanic that can happen in these cleaves is a tornado set. He basically spawns a ring of tornadoes around him that go out in a line. So we'll just watch the VOD and I'll show you what it looks like. This is the white cleave is the tank cleave. This is soloed by a tank. They're going to get 2 back to back. The other tank's going to taunt, take the second one, and then they get the Tempest. Now, this can happen at any point in the sequence. It can be the first mechanic, it can be the last mechanic, it can happen in the middle like it is for them here. It's just a ring of tornadoes that spawns and goes out. These will bounce around the room a little bit before despawning, so just keep an eye out for these throughout the entire fight. You can see the next cleave comes out immediately after he spawns these. This is the group soak green cleave. It's kind of hard to see. They were actually soloing it with BDK on heroic. Likely this is not going to be the case on Mythic. However, on Nexus King, you had one like a monk soloing one of the group soaks, so you never know. It'll just come down to what they end up doing for the race. But as you can see here, BDK was tanking one of the group soaks, and then the other tank was bringing the second one on top of the raid and group soaking. Now, again, this can happen in any order, so you need to be prepared and positioned appropriately. If we have to actually do 2 groups for Mythic or even for Heroic, if they change how much damage it does, we'll have to pre-position on pull to 2 groups of 10 players. And so the tanks will just move the cleaves on top of on top of the groups as they need to, or take them out as they need to. Should be pretty easy. So that's the first mechanic. Immediately after that, we're going to pull the boss away from the singular wind orb. So there's going to be these obelisks around the room that are off the edge, and they will be showing these wind orbs on them. It looks kind of like this. This is what the 3 wind orbs looks like. There's going to be one that has 1, one that has 2, one that has 3, and this will determine a pattern of winds that push us across the arena later in the fight that we'll talk about. But it's important that we position the boss opposite the singular wind orb. And then in this movement needs to happen immediately after the tank mechanic is done. So we need to identify where this wind orb is while we're dealing with the tank mechanic so that we can quickly move the boss. Now, the reason that we want to be here is that immediately after the tank mechanic, the boss will cast Venomous Surge. Now, this mechanic will spawn puddles all around the boss, like shown here in the raid plan, and 2 players will be marked with this fall off AoE indicator, and these fall off AoE indicators will drop venomous cysts on the ground. You'll see here he gets one. He's gonna drop the AoE, and it drops this ball on the ground. Now, where we place these is very important. It needs to be opposite the wind orb altars because they are used to counteract the pushback during the burn. So, as you can see, we moved to moon opposite the first orb, and we want to place the first 2 cysts opposite the 2 and the 3 orbs. So, one goes to triangle, one goes to moon, and that will help solve the mechanic later in the fight. So it's always opposite 2 and 3 is where the first drop is going to go. Now, you can see at the same time, the turbulent gust mechanic is going out. This won't target you if you get the fall off damage AoE on you. It basically targets everyone else who doesn't have to deal with this mechanic. And the way it works is you get a blue circle around you, and you get a line pointing in a cardinal direction. Now, you need to match this lineup with a player that has the line going in the opposite direction. So if you have a line pointing north, you need to match with someone with a line pointing south. The reason this is important is as soon as the AoE goes off, you're going to get knocked in the direction of your line. You're basically going to collide in midair with people who are also getting knocked in the air. So you want to collide with someone, going the opposite direction, and it will cancel the knock. You'll see here they both get knocked. One goes to the right, one goes to the left. They hit each other in midair, and it cancels the knock. You really don't want to use any knockback canceling effects for this, or else you're going to screw other people. There's an even number applied to the raid, so you have to find a partner to match with, because we're assuming that whoever you're pairing with doesn't have the ability to cancel the knockback, right? So you want to find a partner. You can use your knockback cancel to get back down to the ground after you collide with them midair, but you need to make sure you're colliding with someone in midair so that you're not screwing someone else over. So immediately after this, we're moving the boss. They move it counterclockwise every time. What I'm thinking is we're just going to move into whichever segment is safer. So they dropped a orb on X and they're rotating into it. So they're having to play on top of this orb and make sure no one steps on it and pops it. I'm thinking we would just rotate the opposite direction into this, safe spot. It just depends on where we're dropping these orbs is the direction of movement that we're going to go. I could see both ways being good. Consistency versus safety. It kind of just depends on whatever your raid decides they want to do. And at this point, you're getting a repeat. We're gonna have the tank mechanic is gonna happen again here. We're gonna have Apex Predator. See, it's going out. This time they get solo tank into tornadoes. So tornadoes happen second this time. Into group soak. Into another group soak, which the BDK is soloing. Into final tank mech. And again, after this, we're going to have the Venomous Surge, which is going to spawn the puddles and assign 2 players the fall-off indicator AoEs. Now for this one, we're placing the third one opposite the singular orb. So wherever we came from is where one of the fall-off indicators has to go. And then the fourth one can kind of just go wherever. It just needs to be out of the way. So like I show it being put like in front of the third wins indicator here. It can be anywhere on the room. It just needs to be out of the way so no one accidentally pops it during the wins. So I highly recommend just putting it, on top of one of the altars so that we're not going to get blown back into it or no one's going to accidentally touch it. So yeah, just make sure the fourth one just gets put out of the way. So after this Venomous Surge, the boss is going to get brought to the center of the room. He's going to do one last Turbulent Gusts that we're going to solve. And then he's going to go into the burn. So the burn is called Dig In. He's going to root himself wherever he is. This is why we want him in the center of the room. And the obelisks are going to start blowing us back. So it starts with the singular orb obelisk is going to blow us in that direction. You see here, they're getting blown. Someone's going to pop the orb. It's going to knock all of us back. It is extremely important that you are in line with this knock. You need to be in line with this orb. You cannot get knocked left or right because it is highly likely that you're going to hit another orb and wipe the group. What that looks like is like this. You see he's off center of the orb. The knock's going to happen. He's going to get knocked into another orb, and that basically screws us for the fight, right? We really don't want that to happen. Everyone needs to be pixel stacked for the wins and knocked directly back into the center of the room. So another effect of this knock is it actually reduces the effect of the pushback. So we can basically just kind of chill in the middle of the room after the knock happens until the next wind happens. You're getting pushed back a lot less due to the debuff you get by popping the cyst. Now we're going to get the second wind. It's going to push us in a different direction. We're popping the orb, getting knocked. And then the third wins. We're popping the orb, getting knocked. And this whole time, the boss is taking, I think, 35% increased damage or something like that, or 30, somewhere around there. So it's a big burn phase. You want to make sure you have all your cooldowns going into this. And then that's the whole burn. Now, we still have that fourth orb that has to be dealt with. We want to pop it basically as soon as possible after the burn ends. We're all going to get knocked one more time. But if we don't pop it, it explodes and does a lot more damage. So someone needs to make sure to pop that 4th orb. Now, from this point on, the fight just repeats. We go back to Apex Predator, into the poison drops, into the wind circles, into the Apex Predator again, poison drops, wind circles, burn. And this happens until you kill the boss. Obviously, it's going to have an enrage. I don't know exactly when it is, but this is the entire sequence. Tank, poison drop, wind circles. Tank, poison drop, wind circles, burn. And it just repeats that until the fight is over. Now, let's talk about the Mythic mechanic real quick. The way the Mythic mechanic works is on pull, the furthest player from the boss is going to get targeted with basically like a hunter's mark symbol over their head, an arrow. This arrow indicates that you are fixated by the boss. You have it's called Serpent's Fury, and as soon as 14 other players stack up on you, he's going to leap to you and apply Virulence. Now, why do we need to do this? He has an energy bar on Mythic. It's called Fury. If it hits 100, he enrages and we wipe. To reset his energy, you have the boss leap. You trigger the leap by having 14 players stack on the marked player, and it resets his energy back to 0. Virulence is basically a plus and X. You're either going to get a plus or an X AoE indicator on you. We have to do a huge spread of everyone who's soaked. It's not the entire raid. It's the 15 players who soak. Everyone's going to spread. The AoEs are going to go off. If you get hit by the AoE, it reapplies it to you. So you're going to get another one on you. And I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So here, this guy is marked with the mechanic. So 14 players need to stack with this guy. Basically what they're doing is they're grouping up, and then he's walking into them. He has this circle on him to indicate the range of the stack. He's going to walk in. The boss is going to leap. And then everyone's going to get the indicator. Now they're going to spread out. They were doing it randomly on PTR, but likely we're going to have assignments for these spreads. And yeah, so just you don't want to get hit again by it, because here's an example of what it looks like when you get hit. You get more stacks of Virulence. This guy has 2 stacks, so he has an X and a cross on him. Luckily, it's the tank, so he doesn't die. But you really don't want to get hit by any of these lines. That's why we're probably going to have assigned positioning for this. Now, basically, the entire fight is the same as Heroic, other than this mechanic. And the important thing to think about when deciphering this fight on Mythic is, when are you leaping? They were on PTR. Everyone was initially thinking, oh, we're just going to juice it. We're going to do it at 99 energy, as close to 99 energy as possible, so we have the least number of jumps as possible. But if you do that, basically all the mechanics of the fight happen at the same time, and you don't have enough time to solve everything. So what ended up being better was doing the leap basically immediately after the tank mechanic happens. And so you're getting the leap, you're getting the spread, and then you're able to do the Venom Surge afterwards. It's not happening at the same time. So yeah, the big thing we're thinking about here is timing for the leap, and timing being extremely important for Mythic. But other than that, that's basically the entire fight.